That
So
that
Ncuti
is
Gatwa
that's the
has said
most.
more than just his shush. Ncuti Gatwa has said more than just his white mediocrity rant, which was pure racism. He's come out and said more. Sorry, culture. What were we saying?
Nothing. That was. I could not have found a more masculine image of him, and I tried.
Oh yeah, no, he's ridiculous. Basically, he's come out and done the very tired, played up nonsense that we always hear, which is if you don't like him being cast, you're not a fan. Quite literally, things he says. Good times, good times. We've heard this before, haven't we, ladies and gents? Where have we heard this before? Oh, only on everything, only on absolutely everything. Good times, good times. Anyway, shall we hop on my my steamboat down to pop culture hell? Are you all aboard? All aboard the train, the steamboat. Let's go down into our descent of utter shite. Ah, dear, oh dear. This guy is so flamboyant, even in an interview on paper, he sounds gay. Oh my god, that first costume fitting, Gatwa says, bursting into an infectious fit of laughter. I was like, are you joking? They showed me a pair of underwear and they were like, claps hands as if to say, voila. I hate this guy so very much, genuinely. Anyway, so I just want to scroll through some of this stuff because some of the things he says is absolute nonsense. It's real bad stuff. So starts talking about the sort of basic of what Doctor Who is. For those that don't know, this guy is the new this guy is the new Doctor Who. His entire personality is the fact that he's black and gay. It's not exactly a personality trait. You can be gay, you can be black. I don't care. There's no skin off my nose. But this stuff is fascinating in terms of what is said. So there's a few things with respect to Russell T Davies and what he says as well. So here's what Gatwa says. Now with Davies back at the helm, Gatwa is making history as the first openly queer black actor to take on the role of the core Doctor. Not only that, because he's black and gay, the Doctor is now black and gay, which is the sign of a fantastic good actor, isn't it? Where he plays himself. I would be more impressed if an openly black and gay person could play an openly black and straight character. But he can't, because he's not a good actor. Says this, do you know what? It makes perfect sense to me. Gatwa says, who was born in Rwanda and raised in Scotland upon taxpayers' money, just as an FYI. I feel like anyone that has a problem with someone who's not a straight white man playing this character, you're not really, truly a fan of the show. Oh, there you go, ladies and gents. When you're not a Doctor Who fan. You're not if you got an issue with him, you're not a Doctor Who fan. They are getting right out of the gate with this nonsense. They are jumping ahead of all the criticism. And you've not been watching because the show is about regeneration. It's not about gay sex. And the Doctor is an alien. Why would they only choose to be this sort of person? Right. Check this out. Russell T Davies, total utter bellend, goes, they weren't exactly the straightest men in the past. Right? He says of Doctor Who's. Because here's his reasoning. You're talking about someone who does have a lightness and a joy about him. That, to me, chimes with queer energy. There you go. Culture. Don't be too joyous anymore, mate. Don't be light and joyous. That means you're gay.
Okay.
It's very rarely driving the story vehemently, but you will see moments exploring it. We're not delivering a neutered Doctor. Cool, great, no worries. I can't wait to see this gay Doctor in action. Oh, there's more. Here he tries to make some utter nonsense of Davies insists he didn't set out to be revolutionary in casting the Doctor. Oh, it just happened. It didn't. We auditioned men, women, black, white, non-binary actors, and actors whose sexuality was their own private matter. And these are the exactly the type of barriers I like to break. Yep, sure, fine. It's very hard for anyone to stop me doing these things. You'd have to be a pretty brave executive to say, don't go there to me. I'm sure this guy thinks he's the fucking bee's knees. Sorry, language. He really does. This is the guy who said, like, I'm not going to London to meet George Lucas or some crap like that. Look at this clown. I'm sure there are people thinking that, but I wouldn't work with them, would I? Mate, no one wants to work with you anyway, Russell T Davies. You're a clown show. You work for a company, the BBC, which is funded by tax, right? You're a clown show. Disney's dying. God, I hate this stuff so much. Anyway, guess worse. Where is it? There's something very, very funny about this. I want every person in the world to watch Doctor Who. We can just get bigger and bigger and better reach, and it feels like exactly where Doctor Who should be. This is on like Disney Plus now. No, it shouldn't. It's not going to be Star Wars budget, but you know what? Neither should it be. Because I do think, with no offense to anyone, if money disappeared tomorrow, we'd still make the best episode of Doctor Who ever. No, you won't. Utter garbage. And then Gatwa comes in again. We think we've got them, but like rogue choice, we just want to see Ncuti, Gatwa says, reenacting the phone conversation. Do you think he'd be up for it? Because listen to this. Listen to this. Indeed, he would. Just the week before, Gatwa had texted his agent and said he'd love to play a character like Doctor Who or Willy Wonka. I'm sure he'd love to play with some Willies. I was like, this is manifestation, man. And then to prepare, he watched all of Davies' episodes. In that week, I became a die-hard fan. So you weren't a fan before? Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is all some like self-congratulatory circle jerk nonsense. And none of you laughed at my very funny little jokes that I put in there. I'm playing with Willies and stuff like that.
I've enjoyed them.
We didn't laugh. So good times. That was wasted on all of you.
I enjoyed the
culture.
I especially liked your bee's knees comment. I thought that was fantastic. Look,
wasted here on this podcast.
Ruined
my comedic time. I'm wasted.
Anyway, okay,
wasted.
So Russell T Davies was supposed to come back and be the savior, and he just destroyed it further. And he turned it into the shows that he created way back when, like It's a Sin and Queer as Folk and that other thing. The problem is that people confuse these little tiny little elements of their identity as a personality, as you suggested, and it makes all of the stories less interesting when you're constantly just reinforcing this identitarianism. This last season where we were listening to whatever that person was, listening to, I think, Donna say, "It's my daughter. I have a beautiful daughter." I'm like, you are working far too hard to emphasize this rather than to talk about the story or the elements of the things that are happening around you. You're too busy reinforcing this identity that this person has decided to put upon themselves. I've seen this in real life. I've seen people like willingly go from saying, you can call yourself whatever you want. It isn't true. And I'm not paying for any of your stuff. And then I've seen a complete 180 on that, just saying, you know what? You're this great, big, beautiful thing, this constant reinforcement of this garbage that, under ordinary circumstances, you'd be getting regular counseling. And I'm not being anti anything here because I understand about gender dysphoria and all of that. What I'm trying to say is making all of these types of elements
you do
part of what it is the story is the problem, because it's falling on deaf ears now. People are largely stepping away because they don't want to hear they don't want to be lectured the entire time, or they don't want to hear this constant pander, this narcissistic drone. They want to tune in for some, campy sci-fi stuff. That's the whole reason that Doctor Who exists. And I stopped watching. I gave up. So I'll never come back. You've lost giant swaths of audience. And now that Disney controls you, you're going to be allowed to spend more money down an ever-ending pit of loss, until some executive wakes up and says, you know what, we just can't do this anymore. I fully suspect that Ncuti Gatwa will be the last Doctor because I don't see this thing moving forward again.
I would agree with that. Nick, you got anything to say on this, bud?
I have never watched Doctor Who. I know nothing about it, but I've kind of been keeping up with the news over the last couple of years about it. And at this point in time, it feels like they're just trolling fans with this. It's like after everybody was complaining about the last Doctor, it's like, oh, you think that was bad? We're going to double down and give you this guy now. Like it literally feels like a troll by them. Like we're done with this show. We're just trolling all the fans. I don't know why you would do that, but I mean, it feels like a complete troll at this point. I mean, you go from the woman feminist doctor to the black gay doctor, who's talking about twerking and stuff to, like, you know, help save the world or something, or it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. I don't know why anybody has any creative input on this show thought that this would be a good idea.
Tom, you kind of missed a lot of that, but do you have anything to say on this? Any thoughts?
I'm not much into the Doctor Who stuff, so I can't really say too much on that. But what I can say about this Ncuti Gatwa guy, or however you say his name, is I miss actors who could act, who didn't really want everybody to know whether they were gay or not, who just wanted to be able to, you know, be chameleons into whatever next role they were in. Like, you know, basically like the character Robert Downey Jr. plays in Tropic Thunder, the Lazarus guy, where like he don't even know who he is anymore, right? He has played so many different characters and gotten into so many different skins at this point that he can't even, you know, present himself. And I remember when Johnny Depp was one of those kind of guys, right? Where most people couldn't even tell you what Johnny Depp was really like because all they've ever seen him as are the characters. And he's always so into the characters. Like those are actors, people who doesn't matter, even if they are the straightest guy in the world. I remember actors who would be willing to actually go to the extent of acting gay and doing gay things for a part, right? Like, because that's all that matters. It doesn't matter who they are in the real world, but when they're doing a role in a job or however they want to look at it, that's what they're doing. These people who try to separate this whole thing and make a bigger deal out of themselves, make themselves the main attraction, right? Like, that's cool because that's what movie stars do. But what is it, the trait you're selling? Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger sold us on his muscles and he's, you know, and his one-liners and he's good looking, you know. And Sly was a good writer and a good director and a good actor. You know, all these guys, those two, they're not even considered what I would say Oscar caliber actors necessarily outside. You know, Sly could probably pull it off. But you know what? I don't hear them going around, you know, talking about their sexuality all the fucking time. And that's not what they're all about. Like, I don't sit there and go, Arnold Schwarzenegger, gay actor, right? Like, that's the thing that they do there is that Ncuti Gatwa, gay actor. What happened to just being an actor, right? Why does it always have to have something in front of it? And not in this case, it's black gay actor. And if somebody wants to sit there and pretend that he didn't get this job because they weren't looking for anything other than a black gay actor, I got a fucking bridge to sell you, and I apologize for the language, but it's true. Because this is the same dang thing with the Karate Kid right now, when they claim to have had this open casting call, when we knew from the start, because it was in the first report, that they were looking for an Asian kid. So that to me tells me you had a thin line of people. It doesn't matter who auditioned. You had one person in mind already. Same thing with this thing. We knew for a fact going into this after we had a female doctor that we guaranteed the next doctor was going to be black and or gay on top of it all. And I remember all these guys saying this stuff. So they called it and they were right, because where else is there left to go? Right? Once you've done everything else. And that's when it's become a gimmick, kids. Right? It's no longer what it was. It's just a gimmick. And if you want to be a circus freak actor out there promoting yourself on the fact that you're a gay black actor, you go, girl. But guess what? In 3 years from now, when nobody gives a shit about you, don't blame us, because you have no talent. You're riding on your success, the success of what you do with the thing between your legs more than what you do with on the thing on your shoulders, right? Because that's what actors should be worried most about, is the thing on their shoulders, which is their head, right? Because that's the thing people see most of. And at this point, this guy has nothing in his head.
No, well, I just want to clarify a little bit more, actually. There's a little bit more stuff. So, and although Gatwa's groundbreaking casting was met with much praise, there were, of course, some haters.
Groundbreaking.
Gatwa's message to the naysayers is simple. Don't watch. Turn off the TV. Go and touch grass, please, for God's sake. Then there's the criticism that Doctor Who is a show that appeals to children and that a queer actor playing the Doctor will reach more kids than ever with its new home on Disney Plus, which is a disturbing
Queer
idea.
and kids shouldn't even be in the same sense.
Yeah.
David sees the show's wider reach as an opportunity to open people's minds. Right, so literally saying
child grooming.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. Yeah, the stuff isn't good. So there you go. I mean, there's not much else really to say on it. That's not great. But yeah, it is essentially a case of you're not fans if you don't like it. But we got some super chats here about all of this. So Horseradish Power says Ncuti Gatwa should do a podcast with Grace Randolph. The perfect pair. Also, he needs therapy. He believes he is the Doctor. When the last Doctor Who episode film was in 1996, Ncuti clearly has confused the RTD fan fiction as something real. Nope. Horseradish Power again. This is all on Streamlabs, by the way, guys. So please do join the conversation by chiming in over on. I mean, you can super chat on YouTube, but super chat via Streamlabs is better. Just had a thought. Can we extend Exterminators to the BBC as well? Just get rid of it, please. I beg the Daleks to show mercy on us and blast that building to nothing. Also, Davros for UK Prime Minister. He's honest and clear with his evil plans. It's true. That is very true. Creek Indian Army has super chat $10. Says, I wish people who produce these shows would concentrate on presenting a good story instead of making a statement and putting some message in front of our faces. Well, that's the thing. It's message first, good show second. It's always that, good show's always at the behest of all the agenda first. That's super important. Super important, in fact. So there you go.